Okay, well, I got nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about. Let's see. Control M. What do we have on the menu? How about... Have you seen my lectures? Unfortunately, this figures out the CPU load by writing a full screen pattern. This figures out the load to update the screen hardware. It copies a pattern, a 64-bit pattern, to the whole screen. So I'm running in VMware right now, and updating the full screen takes 30% of the CPU time. So 30% is just writing the hardware. So when I do my flight simulator, 60% is 3D calculation, 30% is updating the hardware. Anyway, here's my 64-bit assembly quiz. I made a 64-bit compiler. So push 12 in 64-bit mode, how many bytes are always pushed? So if you say push the constant 12, the integer constant 12, 64 bits are pushed. If you say push EAX, it pushes both the low 32 and the high 32. It always pushes 64 bits. The stack is always 64-bit aligned. What happens to the upper 32 bits? If you say XOR EAX, the upper 32 bits are always set to 0. So if you say move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the upper 32 bits are always set to 0. It's not sign extended, it's 0. How do you set FS or GS? It's a model specific register. You do write model specific register. If FS points to the current task record, what's wrong with this instruction? The problem is, if you do an offset, it's RIP relative. So in other words, it adds the RIP to the offset, which makes it worthless. So what I have to do is I load when I want to read the when I want to read a when I want to read, I set here's what I do. Move FS colon you set EAX to 0, then you take some member off of EAX. This is not RIP relative. It gets worse. Never mind. Well, the first, for my compiler, I have a function fs, and so I need the actual fs function. So what I do is I put a self address in the first location of my record. Do I have to explain this? It's okay. ctrace. So my compiler has built-in support for the FS segment register. So it XORs my unassembler writes EAX as RAX. Otherwise people would get confused. Well, anyway. So the first, oh no, I lied. Okay, never mind. There is a self-address. Do I use that? What if I don't use that? The first address is a self-address. So if you ever need, because you can't do LEAX, you can't do LEA. That doesn't work. I don't think. I don't remember. I forgot now. Anyway, which instruction takes more bytes? Believe it or not, there's a R13 is like R5, or I think, what is it, a base pointer? So there's just this takes more bytes. Because there's a modder and an SIB table, if you know Intel assembly. And anyway, are these the same number of bytes? I think the answer is yes. No, I forgot. You can access the lowest byte of RAX, yes. You can access the lowest byte of ESI, yes. There's an instruction for that. You can access second lowest of RAX, yes. You can access second lowest of ESI, no. There's, anyway. How do you call a subroutine at 10,000? Well, anyway, you can go ahead and read through these. It's on the distribution in the lectures directory. So I made a little bit of support for ring 3. Technically it's off limits, but we want, if somebody wants to play with it, I already told you about my negative offset. That's amazing, isn't it? Negative structure offset. The other day I talked about it. Okay.